guys, welcome back to my channel. Mermaid Nina here. I thought tonight we would do a slightly different video, kind of inspired by where I'm headed to next. As you guys may or may not know, I'm headed to Disneyland like yesterday. Very soon. In fact, I'm wearing my Disneyland ears right here, inspired by the Main Street Electrical Parade. Look at how cute Elliot is. Anyway, since I am headed to Disneyland, which is my home park, by the way, I thought it might be fun to do kind of a top 10 difference video between World and Land. I do get a lot of you who ask me questions about Land, as most of you are Disney World people, and I'm hoping by the end of this video you will see that, yeah, they are two different types of vacations, right? Both Disney, both theme park, but very much different and very much worth doing both at some point in your life. I also think that you guys might find this fun to kind of know these little tidbits that maybe, even if you're planning a Disney World vacation right now, maybe you didn't even know this stuff about Disney World. So let's get into it. Nina's top 10 differences between World and Land. Ready? Let's go to it. First thing is size. Now, I'm curious to know how many of you guys know this, right? Did you know Disney World, being huge, by the way, is the same size as San Francisco? That's right, my hometown. Absolutely love San Francisco, near and dear to my heart. Did you know that both Disney World and San Francisco are over 40 square miles? That's right, huge. But Disneyland is 500 acres. So cute, Disneyland. You can actually fit 51 Disneylands into one Disney World. And when I say Disney World, I mean the entire Disney World complex property. All the resorts, all the parks, everything that kind of Walt built that's considered Disney World, that's what I'm talking about. So all of Disneyland that Walt built, 40 plus square miles versus 500 acres. That's right. So yeah, there is a huge size difference between the two parks, which then furthers down the list into more differences, basically based on the size, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about are the hotels. Did you know that Walt Disney World has over 25 different resorts and hotels? And that's just Disney hotels versus all the other stuff that's around. Different Disney themed hotels, over 25 of them. Disneyland has three great hotels, one being one of my absolute favorites, the Grand Californian, which I'm staying at very soon. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping you guys can kind of see the difference, right? 40 plus square miles versus 500 acres, over 25 different resorts versus 3, yeah? Parks, you ready for this? Disney World has 4 theme parks. I'm assuming you guys know this, right? Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios. Disney World also has 2 full water parks, right? Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. Disney World also has golf courses, miniature golf courses, and other such craziness. Disneyland has 2 parks. 2 amazing parks, by the way. They have the Disneyland park, right? The original Disneyland. And then they have Disney's California Adventures. Both, however, have a downtown Disney-like area. Of course, Disney World renamed theirs to Disney Springs, right? It's a shopping and eating districts that you have to take a bus to, right? Disneyland still has the original downtown Disney district. So, what does this all mean, Nina? Okay, so we get it. Disney World's bigger, Disneyland is smaller, but what does that really mean? It's, you know, most people, I think they assume Disney World is the better vacation because it's larger. Is that really the case? Let's get into it. So, because Disney World is larger, Disney World requires several forms of mass transportation to get their guests to and fro. I mean, the size of San Francisco. They have various different transportation options to get someone from the furthest resort all the way to the furthest park and back again, and all the various 25 plus different hotels and the 4 different parks and the 2 water parks and Disney World has buses, boats, monorail, Skyliner, walking paths, and so many more different options to get their guests to and from. Disneyland, wait for it, you just walk across the street. That's it. I want to go from Disneyland to Disney California Adventures. I'm just going to go and walk like I'm walking across the street. There is no street, by the way. There's no cars, but it is essentially me walking across the street. That is how far away Disneyland's parks are from each other. Do you know how to get to their hotels? You just walk. Walk across the street again, just kind of walk. In fact, one of their hotels actually, one of their exits to one of their hotels actually enters into Disney California Adventure. No bus, no boat, no monorail. All you do is walk out the door. Can you believe this, guys? This is why I love Disneyland. And I think that's why people assume Disney World is better because it's bigger, but yet the convenience of Disneyland just blows my mind. Doing primarily Disney World most of the time, and then when I go back and visit my home park of Disneyland, it amazes me how easy and breezy it is because all I have to do is walk across the street. Bye-bye, I'm just walking. It's just amazing. Disneyland, however, does have a monorail. That's right, absolutely love the original monorail over there, but it's treated more like a ride. It's not really, I mean, yes, it gets you to a different point, but it's more of a ride. It's not necessarily for any given person to ride or not ride. It does enter into the middle of the park, which is different. So Disney World's monorail drops you off at basically the entrance. Disneyland's monorail brings you inside the park. What is that, Tomorrowland? It actually brings you in right above the Nemo submarine ride. So yeah, it's a little bit of a difference. You can kind of catch the Disneyland monorail, which is in downtown Disney near the Disneyland Hotel, and it takes you inside the park. So it's a kind of a good way to get in and out of the park is through the monorail. And of course, for those who do drive from, point A to point B to Disneyland, they do have trams you can take from the parking lot, but that's essentially it. It's walking, maybe a monorail for funsies, and a tram if you drove there. That's it. None of this extensiveness that Disney World does have. But let's keep going outside of transportation, right? So Genie Plus. You knew I was going to talk about it, guys. How can I not do a video without talking about Genie Plus? So they both have Genie Plus. Disney World and Disneyland both have Genie Plus. Disney World's is, as you guys know, $15 per person per day. Disneyland's is $20. Disney World's includes a few little like audio tales and some photo stuff. Disneyland's includes like Memory Maker. It includes Photo Pass photographers for the day. So that's your extra $5 there. It's paying for you to get all of your photos. But here's the big kicker difference, right? So I've gone on and on about all these Genie Plus videos for Disney World, as you guys know. At Disney World, you start getting your Genie Plus passes at 7 a.m. No matter who you are, you start on your phone at 7 a.m. trying to get your first Genie Plus pass of the day. At Disneyland, you have to wait until you actually enter the park. So as soon as you scan into the park and you go through the turnstiles, you're instantly like trying to get those passes. Literally every single person. It's kind of comical actually, because as soon as you enter the park, at Disney World, most people are walking or they're taking a picture and they're like in awe, right? Not at Disneyland. At Disneyland, everyone enters the turnstiles and then they're like, boop, 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 quickly getting their Genie Plus pass. So that is kind of like, to me, the funny difference with Genie Plus over at the two different parks. But I will say that as Genie Plus frustrates a lot of people at Disney World, the people at Disneyland love Genie Plus. It is very similar to their Max Pass, which is what they used to have previously. So yes, that is kind of the big difference. Now hopping. I touched on hopping a little bit when I talked about transportation, but At Walt Disney World, you can't hop till 2 p.m. And how do you hop? Well, it requires you to get on a bus and wait for the bus, and maybe you're on the bus for about 35 minutes or so before you can then get to your next park. Or you have to take a monorail or a Skyliner depending on where you started and where you're headed. Disneyland, hopping starts at 1, so an hour earlier. And like I said, all you do is walk. You just walk on over, like crossing the street. That's it. That's how close they are. You can see the entrance to both from the other. Like when you're walking down the center, you can literally decide, should I go left or should I go right? Because they are that close to each other. In fact, if you stand in the middle between the two, Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, and you look towards the hotels, you can actually see the Grand Californian Hotel. And if you keep going, you're directly in downtown Disney. It is all right there. It is all so close and walkable. It's amazing. Like I said, having done Disney World and the buses and the monorail and the Skyliner, and then when you go to Disneyland and you're just like, oh, I just walk there, just go across the street. It's just so easy breezy. Absolutely love it, guys. But let's go and talk about food, shall we? OMG, the food. First, I will tell you, Nina loves the food at Disneyland. So much variety, so much flavor, so many healthy choices. Absolutely love the eats at Disneyland. I could eat myself into a crazy, I need new pants over at Disneyland. Disney World, sometimes I'm like, it's kind of the same stuff. Disneyland, OM goodness. But let's talk about some of the food here. So Disney World, their food system is way more organized, right? As most of you guys know, I've talked about it. 60 days out before your trip, you can start making dining reservations for those sit-down restaurants. And yes, they book up fast and quick. And if you don't have reservations, it can be hard to eat at these restaurants, especially if you are a large party. Disneyland, maybe make reservations, maybe don't. Sometimes the reservations open at 60 days, sometimes they don't. I mean, obviously the super popular meals, they're gonna book up super fast, but I have booked meals for Disneyland a week out and gotten reservations as long as they weren't like the key restaurant. So it's funny to me how organized and very specific and how you got to do everything super, super fast at Disney World. Disneyland is kind of more relaxed about it, even though you do want those reservations and you do want to try at the 60-day mark. It's just a little bit more relaxed, I guess, is pretty funny. And then Disneyland has way more quick service and kiosk-like places than Disney World does. And like I said, yummy, very yummy, full of flavor, different types of options. I can't really say enough about the cuisine over at Disneyland. Like I said, I will purposely go to Disneyland just for the food if I can. Absolutely delicious. But yeah, it's funny to me how overly organized Disney World has to be, right? But of course it does. It's the size of San Francisco. Imagine how many people you can fit inside San Francisco versus how many people fit within 500 acres. So I think that is the big difference. But a lot of Disney World people kind of freak out because when they go to make dining at Disneyland, they're used to kind of this rush to get reservations, and there just really isn't that necessarily, which is kind of a big difference there. Next thing up is magic bands. This kind of cracks me up actually, because every time I book a client to Disneyland, the first question they ask is, okay, Nina, how do I get my magic bands? So Disney World has had magic bands for years to the point that Disney World has gone through 3 different phases or series of the Magic Band 1.0, 2.0, and now the Plus. Disneyland, paper ticket. Paper ticket, or you can actually, right before you go, they will actually send you a ticket with a barcode on it and you scan it to the point where you can get the ticket on your phone to enter the turnstiles through your phone. But yeah, Disneyland is still on paper ticket. Maybe they have more of a credit card-like ticket at this point, but the last time I was there was absolutely paper. Disney keeps saying that Disneyland will be getting magic bands, you know, very, very soon. They've been saying that for years. And then a few months ago, they said Disneyland's gonna get Magic Band Plus. And yeah, Still hasn't happened yet. So yeah, that's kind of a big difference here, guys, is Disney World being so big and huge that it is really needs magic bands. So it's easier for people to kind of scan, especially the mass amount of people that go to Disney World. Disneyland is still kind of old school. Paper tickets, we don't need magic bands yet, but I can tell you guys, everyone who goes to Disneyland is chomping at the bit to get magic bands because they hear about Disney World having them so badly. They want them for themselves, not really realizing what all they entail. But yeah, Disneyland, no magic bands as of right now. Now, so my last two sections kind of do relate to each other, but the first thing we're going to talk about are the lands or the areas within the parks. So as you guys know, Walt Disney World is 4 parks, but 2 distinctly different parks are Epcot and Animal Kingdom, right? So Epcot has the World Showcase. It has several different countries within the World Showcase that one could explore and learn from a different culture, you know, food and the cast members and the shopping, and just get a different ambiance of these different countries. Disneyland has nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. Disney World has Animal Kingdom, which features live animals, real animals, exotic animals, safari animals, your zebras and your giraffes and your wildebeests and your whatever. Animal Kingdom has that, and of course they have the awesome, you know, safari ride and Pandora. Disneyland has nothing like that. At most, Disneyland used to have petting goats, which they got rid of right before COVID. They got rid of the petting goats. So yeah, it's quite different because Disney World is larger. It has that more space. It could do something like Epcot or Animal Kingdom, which requires a lot of space to keep those animals healthy and happy and keep things kind of quiet from them. Disneyland, 500 acres, no live animals outside of a few horses that kind of, you know, do the trolleys and whatnot. And Disney World has Toy Story Land, right? So at Hollywood Studios, they have Toy Story Land. Disneyland has the Avengers Campus. Now I talk about this specifically because a lot of people who go to Disney World, they want Marvel, they want superheroes, they want Spider-Man and the Hulk and whoever, Captain America, Miss Marvel, all those characters. And per contract with those characters and Universal, Disney World actually cannot legally have something like Avengers Campus at Disney World. Universal would have to give up their rights because Universal has a Spider-Man ride and stuff like that. Universal would have to give up their rights to those rides and give up those rides before Disney World could, under contract, have those types of characters at their theme parks. It is a contract thing that happened years ago. Anyway, but that's not stopping Disneyland. So Disneyland has Adventures Campus. So if you are looking for those Marvel characters, Disneyland is the place to be for that. And I'm so excited to experience all that stuff for myself here. Yeah, days away. They also have Cars Land. I cannot tell you how unbelievably adorable Cars Land is. It is like walking in the movie. I am literally in Route 66 and I can see Fillmore and all the characters in Sarge, and I can't even think of all their names, Tow Mater and Lightning McQueen. Everyone is right there on an actual street that's paved like a road with road signs and stoplights. And when you get to the end, you actually, you get to meet Lizzie, right? The Lizzie character. It's absolutely phenomenal. You feel like you're in the movie. You can eat at Flow 8 Cafe. I mean, come on. And then of course they have Radiator Springs Racers, which is similar to Test Track, right? For those of you who know Disney World, it's similar to Test Track, but it's of course Cars themed with Tow Mater and Lightning McQueen, and Tow Mater even has his own ride, and so does Luigi, and it's just adorable. Cars Land is adorable and amazing both during the day and at night. And of course, they used to have It's a Bugs Land. They had to get rid of it for the Avengers Campus. But yeah, so these are the big differences between world and land, which is why someday in your lifetime you might want to experience both. Next thing up is I'm going to kind of break down some of the rides within both parks to kind of give you guys just further a little bit more differences, right? So Disneyland has a few areas that Disney World just doesn't have within its main park, right? You know, Magic Kingdom versus Disneyland. These are the two comparable parks right here. Disneyland was first. It has their castle. Magic Kingdom is kind of the copy of that with a castle, right? So you kind of get where I'm talking about here. So Disneyland within that park has New Orleans Square, which is a completely different land that Disney World doesn't have. And in New Orleans Square, they have the Haunted Mansion, right? We have the original Haunted Mansion over at Disneyland, but what Disneyland has that Disney World doesn't have is we get a Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween overlay. It is the only place you can see Nightmare Before Christmas and Haunted Mansion coming together. It is absolutely spectacular. I was there for the very, very first time that Disneyland did this overlay. I had to pay for a special ticket. They actually put my name in one of the presents inside the ride. I have pictures somewhere, they're ancient, but my name, like there used to be like a boy and girl like good list, and my name was actually written on the list because I had purchased a special ticket to do the opening of the very first Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion overlay. It was absolutely spectacular. And then the following year they had like an Oogie Boogie thing, which of course I also did. But yes, the Haunted Mansion Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween overlay is spectacular. Disneyland also has an area called Critter Country, which Disney World does not have, which features canoe boats. That's right, you can actually row yourself in your own little canoe. Yes, you have a cast member with you, and you can kind of canoe over the waterways there at Disneyland. Disneyland still has Toontown. Disney World got rid of their Toontown. Disneyland still has there, featuring a Roger Rabbit ride. That's right. And it also has the original kind of kids play area with the, you know, Mickey house and Minnie Mouse house and the Goofy area, and the kids kind of run and play and slide and have a good time over at Toontown. Disneyland has Fantasmic. I don't know if it's the original Fantasmic. I kind of think it is, but it happens outside over actual water, and there's giant boats that go by filled with characters and people are waving, and absolutely love the Fantasmic over at Disneyland. Disneyland also has Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That's a completely different ride over in Fantasyland. And of course, they have Snow White's Scary Adventure, which Magic Kingdom used to have, but somehow deemed it too scary, and so they got rid of it and actually took some of the figurines that were inside the Snow White Scary Adventure and put them inside Seven Dwarf Mine Train. There's a little tidbit for you there. But somehow they deemed Snow White's Scary Adventure too scary for Disney World, but yet it's not scary at Disneyland. I'm not really sure how they came up with that. And then of course, Disneyland features the cutest, most adorable, itty bitty castle. It's the original castle. It's cute, it's adorable, I love it. I don't want to make fun of it, but it's funny to me because when you go from a Disneyland castle, which is like this big, and then you go to the Disney World castle, which is like this big, it's just kind of funny. But yes, per the times when Walt made the castle, all that great things. But it is funny to kind of see the smaller castle versus the bigger castle. But let's break it down a little bit more, right? Okay, so both Disney World and Disneyland have Galaxy's Edge, right? Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. When they came out with that expansion, they did put it at both parks, which is pretty cool. Both parks have a Tower of Terror, except Hollywood Studios still has Tower of Terror, as Disney's California Adventure changed theirs to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I cannot tell you how upset fans were when they found out Disneyland was going to mess with their precious Tower of Terror. But of course, when it came out with the Guardians of the Galaxy version, fans were absolutely excited. But it's kind of fun to see the difference between Tower of Terror, which is kind of scary, right? It's kind of meant to be a little scary, a little eerie, as Guardians of the Galaxy is supposed to be funny. But it's the same ride, right? It's the drop of the elevators. It's the same ride. All they kind of changed was the music and the meaning and the decor behind it all. But yes, so yes, Tower of Terror is different, but yet kind of the same at both. Big Thunder is located at both, although it is slightly different at land, and if I don't mind saying so, a little better at land as well. Both have a small world, and it's a small world after all. Disneyland's is the original small world. It does seem bigger. Maybe it's just because it's the outside. The facade is outside. So Disney World, you kind of walk in, you don't really know what you're walking into until you see it. Disneyland, the whole thing is outside. I mean, the ride is inside, but the whole facade is outside, and it just feels bigger. Whether it is or isn't, I'm not really sure, but it's different. Disneyland, several years back, upgraded their It's a Small World, and of course fans were so upset. Don't mess with my It's a Small World. Yeah, I think Disney did a fantastic job. They kind of edited It's a Small World and put in some Disney character touches throughout the ride, which makes it just that little extra special bit of adorableness. Absolutely. You're going to Disneyland, check out the It's a Small World ride. Rock and Roller Coaster. So Hollywood Studios has Rock and Roller Coaster, right? Disney's California Adventure has the Incredicoaster. Both slightly different from each other, right? But both definitely coasters. You're looking for a coaster, that's where you would go, is Incredicoaster over at DCA and Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios. Then we have Goofy Sky School. Goofy Sky School is pretty much almost copyright or very, very similar to the Barnstormer over at Magic Kingdom, and of course Goofy's Sky School, or is it Fly School? Can't remember, over at DCA, kind of a kiddie introductory coaster over there. And of course, Disneyland has the Pixar Pal Around, also known as the Mickey Fun Wheel, or at least it used to be known as the Mickey Fun Wheel. But it's a giant Ferris wheel, like a traditional country fairground Ferris wheel. And of course, Disney World has nothing like this. Disney World does not have a giant Ferris wheel. I mean, it's humongous. And the cool thing about it is it has different cars, within the Ferris wheel, some which just are stationary, and some are like rockin', like scary rockin', like I'm gonna lose my lunch rockin'. So that kind of gives that Pixar Pal Around just a little extra touch of flavor over there. Both parks have like a Monsters Inc. situation. So Magic Kingdom has Monster Inc.'s Laugh-In, which is kind of a comedy show featuring the monsters. DCA, Disney's California Adventure, has an actual Monsters ride. That's right, an actual, a dark ride. Disney calls them dark rides, a kiddie ride, right, featuring the Monsters Inc. characters, and Roz, who, by the way, is always watching. I say that in quotes. Roz is pretty comical. She's at the end of the ride, and she is watching, and she makes comments based on what she's watching, which is pretty funny. She actually called me out one time for filming. It was pretty great. Both parks have Soarin', right? So Soarin' over at Epcot is Soarin' Around the World. Soarin' at DCA, Disney's California Adventures, is Soarin' Around California. So same concept, different video screen that you're watching. So that's just me touching a little bit on the differences of the rides. Of course, I could go on and on and on, but you guys are probably like, Nina, this video is getting too long. But yes, these are the main key things that I kind of pinpointed that are the differences between World and Land when considering doing one or the other, or perhaps switching gears because you've already done Disney World so many times and you want to try something else. I absolutely firmly believe they are not the same. They are from the same great creative genius, right, Walt, but they are two different takes. Obviously, they could have just done a carbon copy, but they didn't. When they did Disneyland and they perfected that, and they keep perfecting that, just like they keep perfecting Disney World, they didn't want to do a carbon copy. They didn't want to take this and place it over there. They tweaked it. They made it different. They had bigger space. They could do more things. But as you can probably tell, Nina personally thinks the original, right, is better. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to the original park? Walt's original concept is Disneyland. In fact, his original apartment is actually still at Disneyland. That's right. When Walt was working long hours and he's at the park all night long, he actually had an apartment built over on Main Street above the fire department there, where he would actually sleep or take naps or have food. And his apartment is still there. Absolutely spectacular. I got to view it once. I was a lucky person who got to go in there. But yes, being where Walt once walked, where Walt once enjoyed rides, where Walt originally would purchase popcorn and then walk and see how long it took him to eat the popcorn. And then that's where he decided to put a trash can because he didn't want trash all over his parks. He actually walked Disneyland. I mean, it just kind of gives me chills. So I absolutely love Disneyland and think everyone should give it a chance. But in the end, guys, both parks are great. Disneyland's just near and dear to my heart. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised, all that great things. But I feel very blessed and lucky to have done both many, many, many times. I hope you guys are lucky as well. And again, most of you are Disney World people. I hope eventually you can get over to land to experience all the things that I love. And those of you who are Disneyland people, hopefully someday you get to experience the bigger that is Disney World. But yes, like I said, Disneyland is my home. It's my heart. And it's my personal favorite place to be. It's the original park. It's where I had my first Mickey Mouse pancake. It's where I went on Dumbo for the first time. Yeah, it's my place. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least enjoyed the differences, right, between Disney World and Disneyland. I do think a lot of people think they're the same. And you kind of just go to the one that's closest to you. There are so many differences between land and world that it's 100% worth doing both sometime in your lifetime. But yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you at least found it useful, or maybe you enjoyed some of the information. But as always, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If the subscribe button is red, please click it, turn it gray, hit the bell icon for notifications, like this video, and comment. Have you done both, world and land? If so, which is your favorite? If you are a world person and you are dying to do land, let me know in the comments. Or perhaps you're a Disneyland person and you want to do world, let me know in the comments, guys. But as I said, Disneyland is in my future, so look forward to some Disneyland vlogs coming soon. And don't worry, I have not left Disney World behind. We have many, many, many vacations coming up soon for Disney World. And of course, most of my vlogs and blogs and videos are regarding Disney World. So even though I may step aside for a few videos and focus on Disneyland, Disney World, I am not leaving you. So don't worry about that. But as always, guys, mahalo for watching. Nina out. Bye, guys.